ongoing tension between Trump and the Supreme Court. The Trump administration has requested the Supreme Court to lift its temporary block on the deportation of at least 28 Venezuelan detainees currently held at an ICE facility in Texas. This deportation plan, which was halted over the weekend, is based on the use of the Alien Enemies Act, a law from 1798. The administration claims these men are gang members, but their legal representatives argue that their rights to due process are being violated. Tommy Homan, a Trump ally on immigration issues, previously suggested that the Alien Enemies Act allows for limited due process, which is part of why the administration chose to invoke it. However, this approach has stirred intense legal backlash. Imagine spending your entire first presidential term appointing judges, more than 230, including 3 to the Supreme Court, only for those very judges to later challenge your agenda. That's Trump's current predicament. His own judicial appointments are now blocking efforts to deport immigrants en masse, end birthright citizenship, and cut hospital funding. In this video, we'll explore key rulings, identify the judges, many of them Republicans, and examine how Trump's threats to remove them have only made the situation worse. If you've been wondering why Trump's tone has recently become more aggressive, this may explain it. Before we dive deeper, we'd appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing, and while it's free for you, it means a lot to us. Now back to the topic. You may recall how Trump often bragged during his presidency about appointing a record number of judges. He treated it as his greatest legacy, boasting at rallies and grinning like a kid who built the tallest block tower. But now, that very legacy is complicating his legal agenda. It's as if Trump handed out bats expecting loyalty, and now those same people are hitting back. By upholding the law, many of his judicial appointees are showing they take their jobs seriously and aren't just there to rubber stamp Trump's policies. For example, the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals includes Judge James, a Trump appointee. Yet, even Trump-nominated judges are enforcing checks on executive power. The Supreme Court recently stopped the deportation of alleged Venezuelan gang members under the Alien Enemies Act. Though intended for wartime use, Trump tried to apply it to non-state actors during peacetime, pushing the limits of executive authority. This legal battle isn't confined to the courts. In Congress, Senator Chris Van Hollen recently met with killer Argo Garcia, someone the Trump administration wrongly deported. During immigration hearings, Trump's legal arguments were met with tough questions about due process and executive overreach. Van Hollen even emphasized that constitutional rights apply to all individuals in the US, not just citizens, a stance clearly at odds with Trump's approach. Even Judge Trevor McFadden, another Trump appointee, pushed back in 2019 when he blocked Trump's attempt to divert military funds for the border wall, writing that budget control rests with Congress. Clearly, not all of Trump's appointees are following orders blindly. Unsurprisingly, Trump hasn't taken this well. His social media has become a stream of rants accusing disloyal judges of betrayal. One of his recent posts read, "Happy Easter, also to the weak and ineffective judges, allowing this sinister attack on our nation." Justice Samuel Alito and Justice Clarence Thomas dissented from the Supreme Court's decision to block the deportations, calling it legally questionable and unprecedented, claiming it bypassed proper lower court review. Trump genuinely seemed to believe these judges would serve as loyal allies, backing him no matter what. Instead, they're acting independently, guided by the Constitution, not by loyalty to the person who appointed them. Judges sometimes acted like cabinet members who felt compelled to constantly praise Trump during meetings. The evidence suggests that was indeed the case, but it was Judge Aileen Cannon's ruling in October that truly propelled Trump into the spotlight. In the case involving classified documents, Cannon was initially seen as an ally to Trump, handing down a number of questionable rulings in his favor. Trump likely believed she was firmly on his side until she ruled against him on a procedural matter related to the case's evidence. Behind closed doors, Trump was reportedly furious, calling Cannon ungrateful and a traitor. He was overheard telling people, "I made her career and now she's destroying me." A source even reported that Trump threw his phone across the room when he heard the news and immediately demanded to know if she could be removed from the case. So, what just happened with the Supreme Court and Donald Trump? To be blunt, this is monumental. On a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of legal and constitutional significance, this is a 17. Essentially, the Supreme Court issued an extraordinary ruling. They weren't going to wait for the lower courts, including the Fifth Circuit, Court of Appeals, to weigh in. They ordered the Trump administration to immediately stop what they deemed unconstitutional deportations of Venezuelan migrants. Let's back up and understand how this unfolded. Late last night, reports emerged that the Trump administration was planning to ignore court rulings, including those of the Supreme Court, and resume deporting Venezuelan immigrants. Despite legal blocks, Trump seemed unaware or indifferent to the independent nature of the judiciary. Reports claim he questioned why these judges were even appointed. The truth? Trump viewed his judicial appointments as personal loyalists who would always side with him, regardless of the actual law. He misunderstood his constitutional duty, appointing capable legal professionals to uphold the law, not personal allies. He treated the judiciary like a Trump business, everyone there to fulfill his wishes. But federal judges have lifetime appointments to ensure their independence. They don't owe loyalty to the president who appointed them and aren't at risk of being fired. Their job is to uphold the law, not to serve the president's agenda. The irony: some of the most serious legal challenges to Trump's actions are coming from judges he himself appointed. What was meant to be his legal safety net is now pushing back against him. It's like a legal Frankenstein's monster, turning on its creator. Even though the Supreme Court didn't go as far on immigrant rights as some hoped, they still emphasized the importance of due process. They ruled that even undocumented immigrants are entitled to legal proceedings. The concern was that many migrants wouldn't have access to constitutional lawyers. The court essentially said, if you want to do this, show us the legal justification. As the saying goes, be careful what you wish for. Trump wanted over 230 lifetime appointed federal judges, believing they'd be his loyalists. But once confirmed, these judges are untouchable, no matter how much he complains online. What's more, Trump isn't just clashing with his own appointees. He's also facing opposition from older Republican-appointed judges, some dating back to the Reagan era. These judges, seasoned veterans of the bench, have prioritized constitutional principles over party loyalty. Take Judge Royce Lamberth, appointed by Reagan in 1987. He represents a different brand of conservatism, one that truly respects the Constitution. For decades, he's challenged overreach from presidents of both parties. When the Trump administration tried to push through immigration restrictions that also infringed on transgender rights, Lamberth rejected it outright, telling Trump's lawyers, in effect, "Nice try, but the Constitution doesn't work that way." Or consider Judge William Alsup in San Francisco, another Reagan appointee. He too remains a staunch defender of constitutional law. Trump's legal team at the Department of Justice has been having a rough time, like when my grandmother caught me sneaking cookies. Judge Alsup didn't hold back, tearing into these attorneys as they tried to cover up the fact that Trump had ordered the firing of federal employees. He wasn't furious. Worse, he was disappointed. He reminded them that respectable lawyers don't act dishonestly in his courtroom by hiding the president's directives. This situation sharply highlights the divide between Trump-era Republicans and those from the Reagan era. Reagan spoke of America as an aspiration, a shining city on a hill. He believed in the value of institutions and the importance of checks and balances. Trump, on the other hand, seems to think the government should operate solely on his whims. The contrast is clear in their rhetoric. Reagan once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction," underscoring his commitment to protecting American institutions. Meanwhile, Trump wants to impeach judges who disagree with him, as if dissenting rulings are grounds for removal. It's like watching a toddler flip a chessboard when the game isn't going their way. The Reagan-appointed judges are reminders of a time when Republicans valued principles over personal loyalty. They upheld the rule of law and believed in limited government. Ideas like, the president shouldn't have unchecked power, which feels radical nowadays. Judge Robert Lasnik provided a striking example. He ruled against Trump's attempt to use the 1798 Alien Enemies Act to justify mass deportations, calling it a dangerous distortion of a wartime law that undermines the constitutional foundation of the country. This wasn't some left-wing activist judge. This was a Reagan Republican saying Trump had gone too far. Modern Republicans are frustrated with Trump's judge shopping tactics, filing lawsuits in friendly jurisdictions to get favorable rulings. But Reagan-era judges aren't easily swayed. They're like your 85-year-old grandfather, who still runs every morning and mows his own lawn. Steady, experienced, and unimpressed by bluster. Reagan chose judges based on legal philosophy. Trump chose them based on loyalty. Reagan's picks saw protecting the Constitution as their duty. Trump expects his judges to back whatever he had for breakfast. Even Chief Justice John Roberts, no Reagan appointee, but a pillar of the pre-Trump Republican legal establishment, had to remind everyone that impeachment isn't a valid response to a judge simply ruling against the administration. Some Trump-appointed judges have started pushing back too. They're saying, "You've taken this too far." From the use of Supreme Court rulings on due process to resistance against Trump's deportation tactics, district courts across the country are building a consensus. We even saw a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling against Trump on a related case, signaling how far removed his ideas are from judicial norms. No, you can't just fire judges for disagreeing with you. Watching Trump's attorneys try to argue in front of Reagan-appointed judges is almost comical, like someone trying to sell Warren Buffett a timeshare. These judges have seen every constitutional trick, and yet Trump's team keeps showing up with gimmicks better suited for a carnival. And it's not just the Reagan picks. The entire federal judiciary seems to be forming a wall in Trump's path. His attempt to reshape America through executive orders, bypassing Congress to rewrite immigration policy and alter citizenship laws, has hit a brick wall. It's almost ironic. The same American system that frustrates would-be dictators with checks and balances is now driving Trump to fury. His agenda is being systematically blocked by courts across the nation, a phenomenon that political analysts have started calling judicial blockade. Meanwhile, his lawyers often come off like first-year law students who skipped constitutional law class for frat parties.